A supply chain is all the steps involved in getting a product from the factory floor to your front door. And while that sounds simple at first, it is a remarkably complex and interconnected system that involves coordination, cooperation, ingenuity, and a little bit of luck to all function properly. I have an example to illustrate the complexity of a supply chain, and I also have some really good B-roll to help this sink in. Real quick before I get to that though, and I don't talk about this often, but a number of years ago, I actually completed a program in supply chain management. I think I'm either a certified expert or a master expert or a supply chain wizard or something like that according to the University of Michigan. The program wasn't great, and all that I really remember is that it was ridiculously expensive and that there's an overwhelming amount of factors that need to be accounted for. I'll see if I can dig up that piece of paper, and if I can, I'll put it up here or up here if I can happen to find it. While I have a rudimentary knowledge on some of the characteristics, I do consider myself to be an expert on warehouses. And as you'll see as we work through this example, warehousing is an integral step in the whole supply chain process. So on to an example. Let's say I want to get some lights to put on the bookshelf behind me. I do some internet searching and choose something that I think will work. Now let's assume they're sold out of these lights, so the e-commerce store triggers a request for the manufacturer to make more. These particular lights are made in China, so the company assembles the lights, packages them, and puts them on a truck bound for a port. After making the trek across the ocean, the container ship docks at a port on either the east or west coast of North America, followed by a trip across the country via rail or truck. Once it reaches my city, it'll be sorted and repackaged at a fulfillment center, then sent out in a delivery van to my house. Depending on a considerable amount of variables, the lights could spend time in various warehouses along the way. The remarkable rise of e-commerce and the corresponding network required to accommodate it all is one of the main reasons the industrial real estate market is booming. It's not all just consumer-driven demand fueling this boom either. If we go one step deeper and consider how the manufacturer who makes these lights has to source all the raw materials in the first place. Conceivably, these raw materials could be sourced from all over the world, and since the company making the lights is in essence a customer for all these raw materials, that whole procurement process will involve multiple steps along the way as well. You can start seeing why the global supply chain is not just interconnected, but astonishingly complex. There are countless goods traveling back and forth at every second of the day. These goods are transported on a series of trucks, trains, boats, and sometimes even airplanes. They cross numerous borders, transcend various language barriers, and are stored in different warehouses all over the world. That's not to mention all the human activities involved in coordinating, tracking, managing, and handling all these goods along the way. When you take this all into consideration, it really is remarkable how quickly something can be delivered from that factory floor to your front door. I remember when I first took that supply chain management course, and very few people had any idea what supply chain management even was. Now it's one of the main buzzwords of the year, and not because people are realizing how amazing the system really is. Instead, they're being told that if you haven't ordered your Christmas presents already, you won't get them in time. Gotta love the media, hey? What better way to get clicks than to suggest that Christmas is cancelled? It might even go back further than that though, and we all remember the story about how the massive container ship, Ever Given, got stuck in the Suez Canal and caused a massive blockage. I bet eager journalists were prepared to announce Christmas was over even back then. I say that a bit facetiously as there are undoubtedly problems right now that we need to address. There's the old saying that a chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and that definitely relates to the supply chain as well. Demand for goods has picked up dramatically over the past year, and it coincides with a shortage of workers to assist shipments from being offloaded. The industrial market is hot in general right now, but in many coastal cities there are record low vacancy rates, so there are not enough workers, not enough warehouse space to handle all this increased capacity either. If we look at the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports, which handle roughly 40% of container shipments to the US, there is a backlog upwards of 100 ships. This all leads to a few major uncertainties. First, how long will these bottlenecks last? And second, what impact will this have on inflation? And as it relates to industrial real estate, what does this all mean for rental rates and prices in general? If you have a guess or can see into the future, please leave a comment below. Now there's another buzzworthy term you might have heard lately, and that is last mile delivery. It's not an actual mile, but the last stretch of getting a product from a warehouse strategically located close to your house to your front door. I did a video on that topic. Click here to watch it. Now it's one of the main buzz. We got to redo that again. Now it's one of the main buzzier